Collective Matters is an exhibition which brings together some of our socially engaged photography projects over the past 2 to 3 years, which is essentially where we bring artists and community groups across the city region together to explore ideas that are pertinent to them. And as the suggestion of the title kind of gives you, Collective Matters really explores everything from things that inspire us, things that we love, things that frustrate us, things that makes us angry, and everything in between. What really comes to the fore with this series of projects is the fact that all of that work was made mostly in the lockdown, and the resilience and response and creativity of those artists and groups to make work in response to and in spite of that situation just shows you the power of creativity in that respect.
And so really having that restriction kind of made you more creative.
My name's Kat and I am the artist working with Emma and Clickmore. They're a photography group based in Clubmore, so it's Clubmore residents, and we've been together for about 2.5 years. I really enjoy the community aspect of this kind of photography. It's about co-authoring and creating the photography together, and so it's not your standard photography of just having a photographer take a photo of anyone and then move on. It's like working with a community and the people behind the photo to create a story together. I think what I've learned the most from this experience working with Clickmore has been how encouraging each other and really supporting has such an amazing effect, like on a personal level but also on a photography level. I think each person has really taught me how they can grow. Their personal journey is so affected by how you bounce off each other and how you can share ideas, but also give people reinforcement and encourage them, and that really has a great effect on everybody involved.
It was a brand new hobby, never really taken photographs before, but the people were just so encouraging. I found a leaflet in the local library. It went from there, and I went to one in-person meeting. After that it was all Zooms during lockdown, and then I couldn't believe getting the opportunity to actually be an artist.
There's a quote in the Bible, all flesh is grass.
I've got the most pleasure out of taking photos, but I don't think I would if it was a solo thing. I've never bothered by myself, and suddenly to do it as a joint project and as part of a team, it makes it mean more, but it also brought out more personal feelings. But then the exciting thing, learning how you choose, how you curate things in a gallery. Just all the collaboration of it was wonderful, really exciting. Through photography, I think we've been able to talk to each other on a deeper level. The friendships have bonded because you're bringing things out in your pictures that you might not say in words. You know, quite intimate things, or this happened to me, or that happened to me. I'd tell anyone if they get a chance at all to take part in a photography project, definitely go for it, because you don't know. I mean, it's not about knowing how good you are. I still don't know whether I'm good, bad or indifferent, but that hardly matters because you've got your own way of seeing things. I think everybody has. Even in a world of 1 million photos, you can still get something out of it, and it really does just makes you happy.
I'm Stephanie Wynne and I'm a photographer, and I've worked since 2017 with 2 women's groups on the Wirral, and we've produced a piece of work this time. This is our 4th piece of work we've produced. I was interested in working social engagement because of my history, because I was initially trained as a social worker many years ago, and so I'd always worked with a lot of different groups. So this was sort of an ideal blending of my commissioned photography and working with people. It's been very satisfying for me because in the past we've always been involved with creating pieces of work together, with me doing part of the photography. So all the work we've done before is I've actually taken some photographs and they have taken some photographs. This time they've worked entirely on their own remotely, and they've actually sent the images to me, and it's been a case of curation between us. I've learned a lot from the women I've worked with. They are always been reliable, and there's always an expectation of people. People have a lot in their lives, but they have always come up with the goods really when I've asked them, and they're committed. being a photographer, I do like to have a level of control. This is what photographers are about. And in this circumstance, I've had less control because none of the images, none of the images in the final work were ever taken by me. And so that my control has been sort of handed over to the women, and then in turn, they've handed it over to other people as well. So it's that sort of, it's been really nice sort of having no control.
The thing I've enjoyed most is being let loose with a camera and with no boundaries, you know, nobody saying, oh, that's ridiculous, or there was never any, it was always encouraged, and it was always built on. The next time I went in, it was built on, and I've created some good work, I've got to be honest. I've never been in an art gallery before all of, you know, these projects took place. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm pretty good, you know, maybe I'm pretty good at this. No one's going to laugh at me, or, you know, it's an open book, and I choose to make it my open book. If somebody was thinking about taking it up, especially in our group, the word photography scares people off. I think, you know, photography group, it scares people because it's, oh, you know, when they realise that it's not just straightforward photography, it's inspiring your ideas and bringing out things that you never knew existed, really.
Being out in nature and taking pictures of where you live is very rewarding to yourself. My name's Les, I'm from PAP, which is Phoenix Amateur Photographers. My relationship is I'm a service user of CHI, which is Creative Health Initiatives. We were introduced to Rob and Gary from the Open Eye, and from over 50s men's group, we developed an idea of becoming photographers, amateur photographers, and this opportunity came up via the Open Eye, just to do stuff around our housing estate. And that's how we got involved, really. I think learning and meeting people throughout this process has been absolutely fantastic for me. I've got a social anxiety problem, so sometimes speaking in public is a bit hard. But since I've been doing more and more with CHI and with the Open Eye, focusing on specific tasks has enabled me to structure my day a bit better, enabled me to get out of my flat and go and do something which I think is worthwhile. Being creative is hard to do sometimes because of the way people react to what you're doing. So, you know, some people look at it and say, why are you doing photography? Gordon Bennett, you know, it's like, you know, go out and do something different, you know, go and take up rugby or football or whatever. And they're set in the ways, and people are frightened to explore the creative side. I think that's breaking down that barrier for us is an important thing. The whole process has been enlightening, you know, from start to finish. The amount of people involved, the amount of work that they do, putting it all together, and actually, you know, it's a big thanks to the Open Eye for allowing us to get this space in there, to actually having a good time as well.
Well, with Rob and Gary came along to PAP, and he'd already been doing some work over in Runcorn. And what they picked up from the work that they'd already done on the documentary of Runcorn itself, the video, he picked up our enthusiasm for still photography. And that developed into him, Rob and Gary say, wow, would you like to do some more? Here's some cameras, off you go. Went over to Manchester, took some photographs, and there we are. We've ended up with a project that sorry about the pun, but Rob developed with us. What really hooked me into this project is my background, or my dissertation when I did my degree, was in documentaries. So when this project came along, it was right up my street. And an awful lot of the people, not particularly the professionals, but a lot of the community members who are in our group, are actually critical documentary makers themselves, because they question their surroundings and record it. So that just got me more and more involved. What have I enjoyed most in this project is that seeing people develop, simple as that. I just see, when you see people taking photographs and talking to them and coming along to the men's group and opening up and asking questions, and what you end up seeing is all these barriers being broken down. What is also inspiring is the fear of taking photographs. That's gone. So when we go out on a project, the fear of taking photographs of people, of anything, that's gone, because there's nobody questioning them except themselves. So, as I said, I'm a development worker, so seeing people develop is just wonderful. Sorry about that. It's a bit profound, but I just do. I fill up actually when I see people develop.